Hey everyone, just wanted to do a bit of an introduction into how I put together my latest piece, this lion picture called Royal Repose. So just wanted to take you through from the really very first sketch stage through to the finished print and just kind of some of the techniques that I used along the way. So this piece is really comprised of two main sections of drawing. So we had the drawing of the lion in the previous slide, and then this sketch of the two blue wax bills. So these pieces have been drawn by hand using a 3B pencil. These were drawn in a Dala sketch pad on smooth cartridge paper. They were drawn at A2 size, and I've kind of cut them out and scanned them in pieces. And I've got the drawings to a pretty high level of finish in terms of the fact there's a lot of fur detail, feather detail, and nice strong outlines, which is what I'm looking for when I'm creating drawings to scan in and work with in Photoshop. So I'm scanning in the drawings at a 300 dpi resolution, and then opening them up in Adobe Photoshop. And my first step with the process of kind of turning these drawings into my digital collages is that I need to cut out the very detailed pencil line work from the page which I've drawn it on to create this really defined stencil outline. And the way I do that is I use the pen tool. So the pen tool works using paths. So I will go around the edge of my drawing and right up to each individual whisker and hair, and I will create a path around the outline of my lion or my bird or my flower. In this case, obviously, the lioness. And I will create a perfect cutout of the drawing, and I'll have that drawn shape of the lion cut away from the page to then add in my colours, washes and textures. So you can see now we have the drawing of the lioness cut away from the page behind, and I have now got this perfect shape of this beautiful big cat sitting, and I'm ready now to scan in some of my watercolour washes and lay up my colours and textures and get some colour into her. So now I'm beginning the process of using that cutout lion shape to infill with my different colours, washes and textures. So I have a library of already scanned in textures, things like old paper, fake fur, sandpaper, which I can use along with my scanned in colours and some colours used from Photoshop to create this really three-dimensional colour pattern and texture onto the subjects that I'm working on. So as I'm building up these different layers of colour and texture into this lion, I'm also playing with the layer blend modes in Photoshop. This affects the way in which the layers work with the layers beneath them, and it gives you some really interesting, transparent and quirky effects to the different colours and textures that you can get in Photoshop. So that's something that if you use Photoshop, layer blend modes are really, really great to play with and to experiment with, and they allow me to get a really good feeling of depth and translucence and that quality of light and natural hair that you get in the natural world. So once I've got the birds to a pretty good level of finish, I did a little bit of playing and experimenting. You can just see in the top right hand corner of this slide that I have duplicated one of the birds, or certainly the colours from one of the birds, and I've actually put a motion blur over the top of it to give the illusion that there's actually a third bird that is flying out of the picture very, very swiftly. So we've just got that lovely flash of that beautiful turquoise blue. So the next step now is that I'm going to bring both the lioness and the birds and their foliage together onto a canvas, and then I'm going to start working on uniting them together with more background colours and foliage and light, which I want to put over the whole scene. So I've taken that beautiful turquoise blue from the birds, and I'm using that as a basis for the sky colour in the background. So I've got this kind of almost mid-page horizon line, because I really want to give the feeling that you're actually down at ground level watching these birds foraging, and then obviously looking through to the lioness, which is laying down behind. So a real sort of ground level eye view, I suppose. So we've got sort of almost half the page is foreground, half the page is sky. And the next step is I need to bring in more textures and foliage elements to put both behind the lioness and into the overall scene. So these few slides are just showing you some of the watercolour painted textures and washes and really expressive brush marks, which I am now scanning in to help with the building up the foliage and sort of energy, which I'm really going for in this piece. So using different selection tools and layer blend modes, I'm able to take those painted textures and move them across to the finished canvas and start overlaying them on top of the background and the animal and bird characters, to start building up that quality of branches and light playing through them. So we're going for this very, very hot African summer day feeling, and this scant bit of shade that this lioness has found. And I really want that hot sunlight to be filtering through the twigs and branches above, and sort of dappling the back of the lioness as she sits resting. So the piece is getting very much towards being finished in this image. And now I need to be kind of doing the refinements of colour, tidying up any rough edges, and then also an element of kind of knocking back any of the colours which I think are too strong. So I think some of the blacks at this stage are too dominant in this image, so they need to be kind of knocked back, softened, and then I'll look at putting an overall kind of colour over the image, so upping the highlights, potentially upping some of the turquoise blues, and just really getting the colours and tonal levels of the image sitting really harmoniously. And so we have the finished picture. I hope that's helped a little bit to explain about my process and my techniques. If anyone's got any questions, then do let me know. Let me know what you think of the video and if this is the kind of thing that you'd like to hear more of. So thanks for listening, and hope you enjoyed it.